Hi, Big Jim on Lucille Marie, working on one of my other small projects for the winter. The companionway door that we built from scratch, which was a big project, has very tight tolerances, and one of the problems obviously is that the tighter the tolerances, the more you put strain on the hinges and the doors, and then they wear out faster, especially every time you open them and close them. You put all that pressure on the hinges, and it's not a good thing. So one of the things that I was doing here is the door. Let me get this. The door is very tight right here where it meets, and now there's two surfaces where it meets. Let me undo the latch. Now see that? Now see how much easier that was to open. Now, as you can see, that when I try to close it, it doesn't close easily and quickly. It's binding on a piece of the wood, so we have a inner groove and a matching piece here, and so these interlock. And the reason why you want them interlocking is that when it rains, the water hits the door, and instead of coming into the boat, it'll hit this flange right here. And then hopefully the flange guides the water down to the bottom board and then runs out into the cockpit. You don't want the rain coming straight into the door. So that's why, and that was one of the hard parts of the building the doors, is getting these overlapping flanges to work properly and give me enough room then for the handles. You can check out the video that I did on the design of these doors and the problems I ran into and how much it cost, so that you can get an idea if you're doing the same kind of thing. Now, so the sideboards here are, this is all really good red oak. Red oak is a water-loving wood. It's not as good as other kinds of wood, but it's also stronger. So you could use mahogany or teak. Teak is very expensive. Excellent qualities for water repellent and things like that, and living in on a boat, especially in a saltwater environment. So the oak, as long as you seal it and then varnish it on a regular basis, which I'm very leery, or not leery, I'm very bad about following up on that. So last year I did put 5 or 6 coats on the door. This spring, before we take the cover off, I'm going to give it a quick, easy sanding, and then put another 3 or 4 coats of varnish on there this spring. Now you can see when you don't put the varnish on that you start to get this darkening of the wood, where the water gets in and then gives you some various kinds of staining. So right now what I'm doing here is I'm working on getting this door to fit without any without binding, because one of the first things that I noticed in the summer is when the weather is very warm, the doors expand, and then it makes it even harder to open and close them, because they're obviously, the wood is binding on itself. It's so I want to have a little bit of a gap between the doors, just a very slight gap. Now the problem is if you have too much gap, then you have air coming through. So on a cold day, you'll get air penetrating your doors as opposed to rain, and that's not a, neither one is as good. So the best thing there is, once the doors are good, I can put a gasket on this surface right here, and that will, when the door closes and my latches are closed, so when this latch is closed, then that holds the door tight, and then the gasket would then be engaged and have a good chance of blocking the air coming in. Anyway, this is what I'm working on right now. So I've got my nice little finger sander here. It's very aggressive compared to the rotary sander. Not as aggressive as my planer, my hand planer, or my grinding wheel, but I'm just trying to take off a fraction of an inch of each of the surfaces, so that we've got a door that just closes very easily. Right now it's closing pretty nicely, so you can see when I close it, I don't have to push really hard to get the doors to match up. Now it is still binding a little bit, so I think a little bit more sanding would be good. Also, I want to probably take a little bit more than that off, because in the summertime, the expansion then will cause it to bind up again, back to what it does now, especially when you start putting in the resin and the varnish thicknesses. So I'm hoping that if I take off just enough, I will end up with the perfect gap and or optimal gap that will let me have a good fit without too much leeway. The gaskets then will then hopefully do the rest of the work and take care of any kinds of wind or air leaks, and then water, definitely water won't be coming in. Water hasn't come in. The boat is getting really tight now with the work I've done plugging the leaks, and that was goal number one: is get the water out of the boat. It should be on the outside of the boat, not on the inside of the boat. And so hopefully you have that same policy. We also took some stainless steel screws and machine screws, and then replaced the galvanized ones, or I don't even think I think they were just zinc, that were originally supplied with the handles. So the handles were stainless steel, but the screws weren't, which is not a good policy when you're on a boat. So they were starting to rust up. Got rid of those, put in matching stainless steel screws, and now everything is it should be water loving, waterproof. So we're doing a good job here, getting a lot done today. Hopefully, I've got my angle grinder ready to go with the sander on it. So I'm gonna hit the rudder. The random orbital sander wasn't strong enough. Sander Van Oker was not up to the job. It would take me a year and a half to get through all that barrier coat and paint and fiberglass. So the angle grinder should make short work of all of that, plus the paint and the fiberglass, and get down to a good layer of fiberglass, take out all the bad stuff, and take us from there. Anyways, so I'm going to leave you to it. I'll come back later, give you an update, and see you later.